Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Resocialization podcast.
Today we are talking about socialization and agents of socialization by examining various sociological factors in youth development. Socialization is the adaptation of certain behaviors from the surrounding culture, and resocialization is a dramatic change in a person's social values.
Let's get started with Robert Granfield's Making It by Faking It article. What do you think about Granfield's theory that values and identities and roles are not learned but instinctual?
I agreed with Granfield's theory after reading about his study on the intense socialization loss students from poor socioeconomic backgrounds experience while attending Ivy League graduate schools. I never thought about the consequences or undesired differences students who are not middle-class males face.
Yes, that's a good point. Students who originate from backgrounds that are not the norm feel discomfort, pressure, and are burdened by their differences. The working class students are quickly forced to overcome stigmas and completely disengage from their backgrounds by changing the ways they dress, socialize, and communicate to fit in.
In order to compete for interviews, succeed in class, and build connections, the working class are forced to resocialize.
When it comes to these higher education systems, it is not uncommon for students from low-income backgrounds to immediately find themselves at a disadvantage. Poor students must re-socialize in order to adapt to an elite environment.
In today's world, education is one of the most critical factors in promoting future success and class mobility. Oftentimes, institutions of higher learning do not invest enough support and resources towards low-income students, and they tend to fall through the cracks.
Adam Howard outlines this phenomenon in his article titled Students from Poverty. In writing about the importance of higher education and economic mobility, Howard explains that although some poor students can make it to college, that doesn't necessarily mean that they will thrive socially and academically.
That's all thanks to learned socialization.
We even see this concept of adaptation to new environments in Goffman's Dramaturgical Sociology by Cavisto and Pittman. This excerpt is interesting because as opposed to looking at how individuals re-socialize like the working class had to in graduate school, Goffman explains how our social reality is essentially a bunch of performed events.
The article you're referring to also explains how oneself cannot be abstracted from social situations. We build our social reality and socialize with others by playing roles, reading scripts, wearing costumes, and performing on stages.
Just like in the graduate school, working-class students had to play a different role than they were previously accustomed to because their social reality changed drastically. New scripts, costumes, stages, and roles were used in order to re-socialize.
If you think the resocialization that takes place in certain education systems is extreme, you have to hear about what takes place in the military. Gwen Dyer wrote Anybody Some Will Do, which spotlights the extremely intense socialization that military recruits undergo at basic training.
The military takes the fundamental law that killing is wrong and reverses it.
The training starts off by destroying young recruits' individuality, pre-existing beliefs, and confidence.
Once a human is stripped of his self-identity, the military plays on their emotions. Within a fairly short block of time, the basic training program forms a soldier that will kill because that is his job. The military targets not just the young, but also the poor.
This concept is seen in Rachel Brett and Irma Spech's book entitled Young Soldiers, which discusses the idea that poverty is one of the main reasons why the youth would be inclined to join military forces.
Not only must young children learn to re-socialize in order to kill and obey, but they must also do so after emerging from a poor background with little resources.
The fact that poor children often come from homes where moral values are not emphasized, the military has an easier job re-socializing them. This displays a clear correlation between socialization and class ranking.
Well, I think that just about covers the basics of socialization.
Thanks for listening.